In the heart of the Whispering Woods, where ancient oaks stretched their gnarled branches like claws toward the sky, there reigned a tabby queen named Marigold. Her fur glowed like autumn leaves kissed by sunlight, and her eyes burned with the fierce amber of a hunter's moon. She ruled her feline court with grace, her purrs soothing balm to her subjects, sleek hunters, plump nurses, and playful kittens alike. Among them was her only son, Ash, a wiry grey tom with a coat like storm clouds and a spirit as restless as the wind. He was her pride, her shadow, her echo, yet his ceaseless curiosity often tested her patience. One crisp evening, as the forest hummed with twilight, Ash bounded after a firefly, his tiny paws kicking up leaves. "Milk, mother." "More milk," he mewed, his voice sharp and insistent, piercing the stillness. Marigold, weary from a day of settling disputes among her court, a spat between two toms over a sunlit perch, a missing vole from the communal stash snapped. "Oh, you tiresome kit. I wish you'd turn into a raven and fly away, leaving me in peace." The words slipped from her tongue like a claw unsheathed in anger, and the forest fell silent. A shadow loomed, swift and dark. The air crackled with unseen power, and a gust roared through the glade, scattering leaves and bending ferns. Before Marigold could retract her wish, Ash vanished. In his place stood a raven, its feathers black as midnight, its eyes glinting with the same stormy grey of her son's fur. With a mournful caw that tore at her heart, the bird spread its wings and soared into the dusk, leaving Marigold alone, her yowl of anguish swallowed by the trees. The Whispering Woods burst with rumours of an ancient curse, one spun by a vengeful tortoiseshell witch named Bellatrix. She was a creature of spite, her patchy fur a map of battles lost and won, her voice a hiss that chilled even the boldest tom. Long ago, Marigold's ancestor, a proud ginger queen, had banished Bellatrix from the court for poisoning the communal stream with bitter herbs, a petty revenge for a slighted tail step. Now, it seemed, the witch had struck back. Marigold sought Bellatrix's lair, a twisted hollow beneath a lightning-scarred oak. There reeked of moss and malice as the queen approached, her tail low, but her resolve unshaken. Bellatrix perched atop a root, her yellow eyes gleaming. "Your son is mine, foolish queen," she purred, her voice dripping with venom. "Cursed to perch atop the glass mountain as a raven until a cat of true courage frees him. But heed this, speak a single word before the curse is broken, and he remains a bird forever. The journey is long, and the trials many. You'll fail. Marigold, your pride will be your ruin." Tears pricked Marigold's eyes, but she steeled herself. She left her kingdom to Sable, her sly Siamese advisor, whose silver tongue had swayed many a dispute. With a final glance at her court, she set out, her paws silent as moonlight on dew. The witch's warning echoed in her mind. Silence was her burden, courage her only weapon. Marigold's journey took her beyond the Whispering Woods, through brambles that snagged her fur and streams that chilled her bones. On the third day, she met Clover, a plump calico with a patchwork coat and a mournful mew. "My bell," Clover wailed, pawing at her bare neck. "A magpie stole it, my shiny treasure. If you find the witch, ask her where it's gone." Marigold, bound by silence, flicked her tail in sympathy and padded on, Clover trailing behind like a hopeful shadow. 2 days later, under a sky heavy with rain, she encountered Rusty, a scruffy orange tom with a limp and a growl in his throat. "Lost my nest to a fox," he grumbled, his ears flat. "Warmest spot in the pines gone. Ask the witch to get it back, would you?" Marigold met his gaze, her amber eyes soft with understanding, and continued, Rusty's uneven gait echoing hers. By the seventh night, as stars pierced the dark, she crossed paths with Shadow, a lithe black she-cat with a hunter's grace. "A hawk snatched my fish," Shadow hissed, her claws flexing. "Biggest catch I ever made. Tell the witch to return it when you see her." Marigold dipped her head, unable to promise, and pressed forward, the trio of wanderers now a silent retinue at her heels. The glass mountain loomed after weeks of travel, its slopes a cruel shimmer of ice and crystal, clawing at the heavens. Marigold's paws bled as she climbed, the jagged edges slicing through her pads. Hunger gnawed at her belly, and exhaustion dulled her senses. But the thought of Ash, his grey fur, his playful pounce drove her upward. Clover, Rusty, and Shadow watched from below, their eyes wide with awe and fear. At the peak, beneath a sky ablaze with stars, she found Ash. His raven form perched atop a spire of pure glass, his feathers ruffled by the wind. Beside him lay a golden dish of cream, its scent rich and tempting, and a jeweled collar that sparkled like captured fireflies. His grey eyes met hers, filled with recognition and sorrow. "Mother," he called, his voice a strange, hollow rasp. "The witch's riddles stand between us. Answer them, and I am free." Marigold's heart thudded. She nodded, her silence a heavy cloak. First, Ash croaked. "What prowls the night without a sound?" Marigold dipped her torn paw into the cream, tracing a paw print on the glass, a symbol of herself, the stealthy queen who hunted unseen. Ash's beak dipped in approval. "Second," he rasped. "What shines in darkness yet flees the day?" Marigold tilted her head, her golden eyes catching the starlight, glowing fierce and fleeting. She blinked slowly, and Ash's wings rustled in agreement. "Third," he called, his voice trembling. "What binds us beyond all magic?" Marigold stepped forward, her body aching, and pressed her forehead to his feathered chest. A faint purr rumbled in her throat, breaking her silence for the briefest moment of risk born of love. Ash's eyes widened, but the curse held no punishment for such a soundless vow. Love, she told him without words, was their unbreakable thread. A shriek split the air as Bellatrix appeared, her fur bristling with rage. "Clever queen," she spat, "but your purr was a gamble." Yet the spell unraveled, feathers fell like black snow, and Ash stood before her, a grey Tom once more, the jeweled collar gleaming around his neck. He lapped at the cream, his strength returning, and Marigold's voice burst free in a triumphant yowl. The glass mountain shuddered and collapsed into a bed of soft moss, cushioning their descent. Mother and son raced home, the whispering woods welcoming them with rustling leaves and familiar scents. Clover, Rusty, and Shadow awaited at the edge, their tails twitching with hope. Marigold, her voice restored, turned to Ash. "Grant their wishes, my son," she purred. "You've seen the world beyond our woods." Ash, wiser now, flicked his tail. A shiny bell appeared at Clover's paws, its chime bright and clear. A nest of pine needles and feathers settled before Rusty, warm and snug. A fat, silver fish splashed into Shadow's grasp, its scales glinting. The wanderers purred their thanks, pledging loyalty to the royal pair. Bellatrix, her power broken, fled into the wind, her curses unraveling like cobwebs. Marigold and Ash returned to their court, greeted by Sable's knowing smirk and the joyous yowls of their kin. The tabby queen ruled with renewed wisdom, her son at her side, their bond a beacon through seasons of frost and bloom. The whispering woods sang of their tale, a mother's courage, a son's redemption, and the magic of a purr that defied even the darkest spell.